Boxing fans, we're at it again. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. Next week, I want to get ahead of it. Good matchup. History there. I think they fought 4 times in the amateurs to split them 2-2. Doesn't tell you much because the pros is a different ball game. They've both developed since then. Good and bad, And I say bad because of this, all right? When you get a kid like Garcia who knocks a lot of people out, that becomes the mentality of, okay, I'm going to catch him at some point. I don't need to learn how to box. I don't need to box to win. He is a very powerful kid. He's real big for his weight class. I think he's about 6 feet tall at 140 pounds. So, yeah, he's going to be bigger, stronger than most of his opponents, especially by the time the weigh-in's over. He's going to outweigh him by a little bit, too, because he'll probably be 150, 155 in that range. But he gets this mentality that at some point I'm going to catch him. It's the same way he came in the Tank fight thinking, okay, and he justifies it to this day. To this day, he still says, oh, well, I was hurting Tank, and then he grabbed me and broke up my rhythm, whatever. He's making excuses for why he lost the fight instead of going back and trying to understand why Tank was able to beat him. Okay? Number one, the jab. He's walking to his opponents without using his jab. Now, in this fight, he's going to come across a guy who can move and jab very well. Devin Haney lives behind his jab. He controls guys with it. His range is excellent. He is going to be in. He's going to be out at all the right times. He reads his opponents real well, and he lives behind his boxing ability. So if he's outboxing Garcia, what's going to happen? Is he going to revert to a jab? No, not if he hasn't worked on it, if he hasn't been adjusted. And the longer, the more that Garcia's pro career has gone on, the further and further he's gotten away from his jab and boxing and learning how to not get hit with shots he doesn't see coming. And it's not a bad thing to get dropped because it exposes you and it, takes you into a situation you haven't been in and you have to fight through it and come back. Yeah, that's all good stuff, but getting dropped exposes you, and if you don't fix it, it's going to keep happening. And we've seen that happen a couple times with Garcia. So regardless of what all these critics and all these fans out here are saying, I'm here to tell you that I see an issue. If he comes in without a jab, he's going to fall behind quick. And anybody could get caught. Okay, yes, anybody could get caught. Anybody could walk into a shot and it'd be over. But that happens less and less at the top level because these guys understand that reality. And let's be honest here. I mean, people talk about the big punch, but at the top level of the game, everybody can punch. So you got to know that coming in. You can't make a business at the elite level of this game of taking shots. That cannot be your game plan. I'm going to take a shot and walk through them. It's not going to happen. And even if it does happen, it's not going to happen consistently. There's a consistency in any sport that the best athletes have. They have that consistency. They do this, and they do the same things right, and they do it over and over, and it becomes a habit. Consistency becomes a habit, and the habits I'm seeing with Garcia are going to get him in trouble because he hasn't fought at the level of opposition that a lot of his counterparts have, like Tank Davis, like Devin Haney, and a lot of other guys at 140 and even 135 that he's going to have to jump in there with now because he's gotten himself to a point in the game where he's a household name. Everybody wants to see him fight. So once that happens, it kind of becomes an issue of, okay, it's time to get the money. You got to strike while the iron's hot in boxing, because the draw and the desire goes away, right? The fans get tired and they move on. The fans will move on quicker than anybody. So when there's a fight that's hot, you got to make it happen. And it's good that he's doing it. It's good that he took the Tank fight. It wasn't good for his development, but it was good for his pocketbook because there was so much money involved. So here he is. He has to fight these guys that physically he's probably ready, but technically he's not. He's not as good as Devin Haney. Devin Haney should outbox this guy. Devin Haney should put rounds in the bank, rounds 1, 2. I mean, he should go up 4-0, and then put Garcia in a desperate situation. That's what should happen. Devin Haney's good enough to do that. He is a better boxer because of the fundamentals that he's practiced and developed and exercised in his fights. It's two different, I mean, these are two different levels of boxers here. I mean, physically, the only chance I see Garcia having is the physical element, to where he physically imposes his size and strength and just outguns his guy, but I don't see it happening because the skill level is just so lopsided. So, of course, my prediction is Devin Haney wins. I don't know. I mean, Devin Haney could stop him. I'm not saying that he does. Most likely a decision, but who knows? I mean, Garcia, I just see him get desperate too much, man. When he's having trouble finding a guy, he gets over aggressive and he walks into something big. And, you know, when you're fighting world champions, that possibility multiplies. I mean, they know how to walk you into hard shots. So, if this kid gets desperate, look for that to happen. He will, if he gets desperate and starts walking to this guy without the jab and without feinting, without moving his head, you know what I mean, keeping him guessing. You got to keep the guy guessing. If he can time your attack and time your punches, you're going to get picked apart. All right, he's going to throw right hands right over your jab. They're going to land flush. You know, he's going to check hook you to death, circle out, go right back to his jab, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it if you keep coming in that straight line and you're not establishing your jab. So Garcia's strategy, first of all, he should have changed trainers. I think he did. Hopefully that's going well for him. He needs to go out there and establish his jab. Okay, I'm not expecting him to go in here and win a jab battle with Devin Haney. Devin Haney's an excellent jabber, and I'm not expecting him to out-jab the guy. I'm expecting him, what I would expect if I was his coach, is for you to go out there, Ryan, and compete. Compete with the jab. Meaning, when Haney jabs, you're firing right back with your jab. Okay? You're catching and shooting. Catch here, shoot right back with your jab. Okay, you have to have that skill down packed, and you have to slow this guy's jab down. Because if he starts landing his jab and pulling out of range and circling around, you're going to start falling into traps. If you let him get comfortable doing that, it's downhill. It's a downhill situation, because he's just going to, you know, expand that lead more and more, get more and more comfortable, and Garcia just get more and more desperate. So without a jab, I don't see Garcia having a chance. If he can get a jab going to where he's competitive and stopping the flow of Haney's combinations, okay, you got to break the combination up. And the best way to do that is a jab. So if a guy's trying to hit you with combinations, step up, run them off, and circle out, you can break that up with a jab, with a counter jab, a catch and shoot. The catch and shoot at the right distance, you know, you got to have the footwork down. You got to know how to pull. It's a halfway pull. It's not a full pull, but it's a halfway pull. And let him run into the jab. Bam. And while you're catching, okay? You're catching the jab. You're pulling out of the pocket. You're not pulling, like jerking pulling. I'm in a car, so I can't demonstrate right now. But you're stepping with the back foot to pull him in. and firing the jab. That can break up a boxer's rhythm. You double the jab, it'll really slow him down. So that has to be the strategy. So my take on this fight is no jab for Garcia, no win. He's not going to win. He's going to have to use his jab. He can make it a competitive fight. I mean, he could hurt the kid. Ryan can really punch. He's a big body, and he knows how to walk guys down. He's good at walking guys down. So once he gets his jab going, or at least competitive, giving Haney something to think about with that jab, he can mix other shots in there that could hurt him. But without the jab, it's not going to happen. So I don't know. I think Haney wins this fight, in my opinion, because his boxing ability is far superior. It's a lot better right now because he's had to use it. He's had to box to beat the guys he's beaten. The Loma fight. I don't even think he won the Lomachenko fight, but he's competitive enough to force the judges to flip a coin or whatever they did to call the winner of that fight, because I didn't see Haney win it. But he was in it at the moment. There were times when he was competitive. So when you fight fights like that, you get better at competing. You get better at fighting tough fights and going through the stretch. So he's got a lot more experience in difficult situations than Garcia, and I think that's going to show up. That will show up that night. Listen, in this game, whatever you don't bring to the table, whatever you're deficient in, it may not always show up, but when you fight the top guys, it will show up. Wherever your deficiency is, it will show up, like it did against Tank Davis. All right, his inability to use the jab, his range awareness, and the anxiety, the desperation set in to where he felt that he had to walk right to this guy to stay in the fight, and he walked into a big left hand to put him on his butt, and he walked into a body shot the same way, just not using his jab and feeling that desperation. So at the top level, that's a bad thing. At the top level, like I said, your deficiencies are going to show up. So unless he's done a lot of work in the gym, which is kind of impossible without having a fight. I mean, you don't get to test those skills. You don't get to test newly developed skills without fighting. You can do whatever you want to do in the gym. We all look good in the gym. The gym is not a fight. It's just a different environment. It's a different situation. So you have to fight and exercise your skills in order to verify and validate them. So based on all that, I am picking Haney to probably win this fight by a decision, possible knockout. If Ryan gets desperate, he could get knocked out. So we'll see. I'm excited. Tune in next weekend. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. And of course, where does the division go from here? I don't know, man. There's a lot of fights out there to be made. I hope Lomachenko gets a shot to fight the winner or somebody big, because I don't like what happened on that fight with Haney, and I think he deserves a chance to redeem himself. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hope you support me and support boxing. It's a great sport, and even though a lot of things are crazy, the fighters do work hard. They train, they prepare, and they've earned the recognition that they're getting, especially on televised and pay-per-view fights. So thank you. God bless. Godspeed. Watch the fight. Tell me what you think. Talk to you later.